In 2022, I technically went to 7 countries and 10 cities around the world. In this video, I'm going to rate them from my least favorite to my most favorite. I'm going to go through why I went there, where I went when I was in those countries, what I liked and what I didn't like. So let's get into the video. At the bottom of my list is Qatar. Now, I don't mean to say that by any means it's not a place worth visiting. It's just happens to be at the bottom of the list of places that I visited last year. So when I was traveling to Greece, we traveled through Qatar and I did the Discover Doha transit tour, which I've just done a video on how you can go about going on that tour and all the information regarding that. So essentially I had about a 7 to 8 hour layover and I decided to go on a 3-hour transit tour of Doha, which is where I went and why I was there. What I liked so much about Doha is that the people are really sweet. There's also a lot of cultural richness about the place, and I liked that they had dedicated a specific area, being Qatar Village, to showcasing the art that their city has. What I didn't like is that it was really hot. Like, you step out of the airport and you feel like you're gonna faint, and that aircon is a basic human need. And also it has a lot of buildings and architecture. There's very little I would say natural beauty about it. But fifth on my list is Uganda. My dad is Ugandan, so I've been to Uganda a million times, but I very rarely get the opportunity to travel outside of Kampala and see different areas of Uganda. This time I had gone to Uganda for a friend's wedding, and they had taken it upon themselves to give us the opportunity to book a package that they had created for us to go to Murchison Falls and just experience another side of Uganda, which I really loved. So what I really liked about the place is basically everything. I liked that we were really immersed in nature. So we went on a safari tour and we also did a boat cruise on the Albert Nile. And we also, even when we were staying, the accommodation was so beautiful. They had the big spacious rooms and the people there were so nice. Like, the service that we got at all times when we were there was top notch. What I didn't like were the mosquitoes. The mosquitoes. And that it was a 6-hour bus ride there and a 6-hour bus ride back. So I was not having a good time because I don't like being in a car that long. I don't like going anywhere for that much time. It's just not necessary. Fourth on my list is Turkey. I went to Turkey for my 30th birthday in July last year. And we went to Cappadocia and Istanbul, and I was traveling with a friend. It was the most it's a very different type of trip. Like, it was not like a trip that I've been on before. Most of my trips are like beach holidays and that kind of thing. Wherever there's water, there's me. So this was a very different type of trip, and Cappadocia, I think I appreciated more than I did Istanbul. So Cappadocia is a very quiet place. Like, everybody knows everybody, but the activities that you can do there are many. You can do the hot air ballooning, you can do quad biking. There is so much hustle and bustle, and the people there are so sweet. They also have a big entrepreneurial spirit, so everybody there is hustling, and it's just like a place where you can really relax. It's not as noisy as Istanbul. So then you get to Istanbul, and Istanbul is noise, action, never bored, city's always awake, all those kinds of things. Anything you can think of. You know how they say a city's like a city that never sleeps? Istanbul is one of them. So I liked that, there was always something to do, or there was always something to shop, or there's always different types of things that we were doing on different days. Like some days would be shopping, some days would be sightseeing, some days we would be trying out new restaurants. Sometimes we decide we want street food, and the street food is amazing. So those are some of the things that I liked. What I didn't like is that you really have to be hyper alert almost at all times, because there are like ongoing scams almost all the time. So for example, when we were walking in the street, there was a child who threw a rose at my friend, and then when she tried to give it back, he wanted money for it. And not this child scamming the rato, bruh. He literally forced a rose into her hand, and she tried to give it back and he refused.
You were saying 20.
So now, that is mad. There was also a situation where we got scammed in an Uber because the Uber circled the same block a couple of times, and we didn't know he was circling the same block. And you know, it's just how it is. There's also one of the things you really have to look out for, and maybe I'll do a video on tips and tricks about this, is that you have to make sure that when you get into a taxi, that his meter counting thing is on. Otherwise they just charge you whatever, and you have to take it because he took you where you wanted to go. So in third place is Zimbabwe and Zambia. So technically I was in both countries because I went to Victoria Falls, which is the city in Zimbabwe. And then when I did the Angels Pool, I'd gone to Livingston in Zambia. So I'd gone there for 2 nights. I just wanted to get out of town, and it was my first time really traveling by myself and not even having a plan or an itinerary or anything. I just said, I've always wanted to go to this place, let me just go. And I had a great time. I really liked the fact that all the people there are so sweet and always willing to help, and everyone is calm, and there's no you don't get bad energy out of anybody who is there. And I love that really very much. I also like that I tested my limits. So doing the Angels Pool was something that I never thought that I would see myself doing. I never considered myself an adrenaline junkie until I did that, and now I just crave it all the time. So that was what I really enjoyed. What I didn't like was paying for everything in dollars, because South Africa and the rand and the dollar, oil and water. And then another thing was that you have to pay for a lot of things in cash. So I wasn't very aware of that before I went. And there are no ATMs, well, they're not working ATMs. There are ATMs, they just don't work at the Victoria Falls airport, and the cabs only take cash. So then you have to sort of work it out with them and discuss. But luckily the cabs are airport verified, and they work with the airport, so you are assured that you won't get scammed. They charge the same price across the board. You just have to figure out a way to pay them, really. Second on my list is France. So I went to Paris, and never in a million years did I think I'd be able to go there. Shout out to my employer. So I went to Paris for work, and I did get a little bit of time to do some sightseeing on my own. So my brother's girlfriend, who is French but lives in Belgium, actually left Belgium to come to Paris and see me, and we stayed with her sister. And it's a really very different experience to be shown around a city by a local. And she really took everything that I wanted to see, because I only had 1 day, and she took everything that I wanted to see and she really optimized an itinerary for a day for us to do. And I'm really grateful to her for that, because it's such a proper experience to be with a local, and they actually know how to navigate the transport system and where to go and where you can see this or that. There's an angle, there's a street where you see the Eiffel Tower, and then there's another street where most people take pictures, and I never would have seen that street if I wasn't with her. So that is just a very small example of what optimized the trip, but it's one of them. So I had a really great time, even though it was extremely cold. That is what I didn't like. It was the first week of December. So it was my first time experiencing a European winter. And it's not cold like here. Like here, when it's cold, you can still go outside. In Europe, I'll think about it maybe 5 more times before I want to go out and get fresh air, because that cold is not real. Like it cannot be real. It's like the door opens and the wind just slaps you in the face and you're just like, whoa, hey, okay, you know? So that's the only thing that I really didn't like. First on my list is Greece. So we went to Santorini and we went to Athens. I went with friends. So it was really my friend's dream destination. I just wanted to go somewhere for the summer. Well, I wanted to run away from winter here and go to European summer, should I say. So we went to Santorini and that was one of her dream destinations, and what a beautiful place. Everything you see in pictures is true. That is exactly how the place looks in real life. And I wish there were people around us that knew us to hear us when we saw Ia in Santorini for the first time, and we all went because we just couldn't believe our eyes. What I liked so much about Santorini was the weather. The weather was perfect. It was only like 22 degrees and there was a little bit of wind, but it was hot. We were in summer. It was hot. The beach is beautiful. We went on a yacht tour. All the people we met were sweet. There's different places to do different types of things. So in Parissa, for example, it's very like family orientated and the beach is close by. And then in Fira, that's where like the parties are and we can find younger audiences. And then Ia is where it's sort of like your older audience, but I mean, it's where all the pretty buildings are and where you can do a little bit of, I would say, sightseeing. What I also liked about Santorini is they really have an efficient bus system where you don't even pay more than €2 to get from one place to another. So really effective transporting situation. What I didn't like about Santorini was the fact that you feel like you're gonna get run over a car every time you cross the street. The people who drive there don't drive very well. So yeah, I don't know. Santorini is also very expensive. South Africa and this red. I saw flames, but it's fine. Athens, on the other hand, was a very different vibe. Cosmopolitan city, lots of sightseeing. We went to the Acropolis of Athens. I loved that. And I got a little bit of a tour of the city. So that was really cool. What I didn't like was that you kind of don't know where it's safe and where it's not. So it's so weird because when we got to our apartment, the apartment doors were between 2 graffiti doors. So we were like, is this area safe? Is it not? We had to ask around, but we were in the safe area, but that was a bit weird. I don't know about that one. So those are all my ratings on all the destinations that I went to in 2022. All the vlogs for the destinations that I have mentioned are available on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm almost at 100 subscribers, please guys, because there's much more travel content coming this year. I have so many plans for things that I'm doing day to day. You are free to follow me on Instagram at Samantha KBM. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video. So it was my first time going, I'm lying. No, I've been to other places in Uganda. Anyway,